Now straight to the details. This week, courts are set to examine agreements reached between the country's prosecution and about 1,150 inmates. The agreements are made through a plea bargaining process based on admitting guilt. Inmates whose agreements were approved and who were released have welcomed this approach, saying it will help them to continue their life outside prison. While launching the week's activities, the Vice President of the Supreme Court, Alphonse Hitiaremye, stressed that this approach applies to all categories of crimes. It was launched at the Muhanga Correctional Facility, but also took place in other prisons. During the launch, inmates were once again given explanations on the benefits of the approach and encouraged to take part in it. At the Gicumbi Correctional Facility, plea bargaining agreements between the prosecution and defendants focused on crimes including harassment, robbery using threats, cutting and damaging state-owned trees, as well as the trafficking of illicit alcohol. Inmates taking part in the plea bargaining process are still few, which is why the awareness campaign has been launched. When the judicial year began, it was explained that this year would be dedicated to reconciliation and justice, with particular emphasis on alternative dispute resolution, where parties are assisted to reach agreements without relying on courts after cases have been filed, giving hope that the overcrowding in the country's prisons will continue to reduce. Now, staying with judicial matters, the 2024-2025 report by Rwanda's judiciary shows that criminal cases, particularly theft and physical assault, account for the vast majority of cases handled by the country's primary courts. Both in urban and rural areas, primary courts continue to receive a high number of complaints from citizens seeking justice, mainly in cases involving violence and property-related offenses. Olive Nete will give us the details on that.
Jean de Dieu Bizimana, a resident of Bugesera district in Nyamata sector, was found at the Nyamata primary court on Monday morning. He filed a case against his neighbor, whom he accuses of physically assaulting and injuring him. I've been physically assaulted, and I am here to follow up on my case. I want to ensure that the person who assaulted me is held accountable and does not continue to roam freely. After this, I plan to go to the Rwanda Investigation Bureau or the police for further action. The crime of theft is not prevalent only in primary courts located in rural areas. It also appears to be the case in urban courts. Physical assault is the second most common criminal offense tried by primary courts in Rwanda each year. In the 2024-2025 judicial year, a total of 106,254 cases were filed in courts. Of these, 63,457 cases, equivalent to 60%, were filed in primary courts, while 42,797 cases, or 40%, were filed in intermediate courts, the commercial court, and the High Council of the Judiciary. Among criminal cases, theft, physical assault, and defilement of children are the most common offenses reported in primary courts across the country. Strengthening the judiciary through various measures, including the implementation of the criminal justice policy and the alternative dispute resolution policy, is seen as a sustainable approach to reducing case backlogs in courts. In the 2024-2025 period, 124,204 cases were concluded nationwide, including 15,012 cases resolved through out-of-court settlements. However, despite the effectiveness of these policies, representatives of civil society organizations say more effort is needed to fully implement them. There is a need to change the mindset of everyone in the judicial system, including judges, lawyers, and others. They must understand that imprisonment should not always be the first option. There are alternative punishments that can help guide people back to the right path without the need for imprisonment. These alternative punishments have already been put in place, and if properly implemented, they can deliver fast and effective justice. Whether through alternative dispute resolution or other methods, having clear rules and regulations will ensure justice is provided more quickly and help reduce overcrowding in prisons. The judiciary spokesperson, Harrison Mutabazi, explains that Rwanda is among the countries worldwide that are increasingly prioritizing restorative justice over litigation-driven justice. This approach is expected to yield tangible results in reducing the backlog of cases that continues to rise in courts.
kubera ko dukunze gukoresha cyane ubu buryo.
Since we started using mediation, we in Zimbabwe are among the African countries enforcing this approach. We are committed to continuously improving it. What I would say is that all judges and members of the judiciary who attended the meeting agreed that the most effective and efficient way to deliver fast and fair justice is through dispute resolution without trials and courts. This approach is what we call restorative justice, a form of justice that brings people together again. We encourage more people to use mediation, and we continue to sensitize the public to stop committing crimes and to learn the laws to avoid breaking them. Overall, I would say this policy is good and is yielding positive results. Soon we will share the outcomes we have gained since we started implementing these policies in courts. As cases of theft and physical assault continue to rise in primary courts, some observers believe that this is partly due to the courts being more accessible to citizens. This trend has also led to an increase in the number of people imprisoned for such offences. According to the 2024-2025 report by the National Commission for Human Rights, a large number of people held in 27 transit centers were arrested for theft-related offenses, totaling 5,319 individuals, which equals 60.5%. As a result, 47.8% of them were transferred to 3 rehabilitation centers where the Commission conducted its research.
Olive Nete with that report. Now, the country's youth are calling for the digitalization of the history of Rwanda's heroes so that they can better understand it and share it. We have more on that with Enola Gladys Benimana.
These young people are calling for the history of Rwanda's heroes to be digitized at a time when Rwanda celebrates National Heroes Day every year on February 1st, honoring heroes who sacrificed themselves for the country. On this day, citizens are also encouraged to follow in the footsteps of these heroes by carrying out exemplary actions. Rwanda's heroes are grouped into the 3 categories: Imanzi, Imena, and Ingenzi. I don't know the history of heroism in our country, Rwanda, very well, but I know a little. The little I know was told to me by my family. However, if these histories were made available in digital platform, it would help us understand them better, because sometimes we hear about them but do not fully understand everything. The Division Manager of Research on Heroism, Outstanding Achievers and Decorations Division, Nicola Rwaka, notes that they are increasingly reaching out to young people to explain the history to them, and that groups have been established in schools to help students better understand the history of the nation's heroes. The first thing we did to ensure that this history spreads widely, especially among young people, was to establish heroism clubs in schools. We visit these heroism clubs in school and provide them with learning materials, including written documents, historical records, and other information about the history of Rwandans across different periods. Today, in many schools where these clubs have been established, they are the ones that organize National Heroes Day commemorations. He also highlights that they are working with various institutions, including the Ministry of ICT and Innovation, to ensure that this history is digitized. We are working with people in the field of technology so that we can store this information in digital form. We are also planning a project in collaboration with the National Cultural Council to develop a system that will allow virtual visits to the memorial sites of the nation's heroes. Currently, various memorial sites are being built across the country as part of efforts to preserve the history of nation's heroes.
Thank you, Enola. Now, the Rwanda Revenue Authority has announced that more than 29% of domestic taxes and levies, that's exceeding 3.5 trillion Rwandan francs, is expected to be collected in the current fiscal year and will come from customs operations. Olive Nete with more on that.
Officials in charge of customs at the Rwanda Revenue Authority say the administration of imports and exports has undergone major transformation over the past 27 years, largely driven by the adoption of digital systems and modern technology. According to Sam Kabera, Commissioner for Customs, technology has significantly improved efficiency, transparency, and revenue collection within the sector.
Before the 1994, the customs were almost manual. Now everything is IT-based. We have the customs systems. Whatever is entering the country in terms of imports, it is declared within our systems. With the systems, of course, the clearance time has actually increased. Before, we were taking many days to clear the goods into the country, but as of now, our clearance time, it is now between 1 to 2 days. The consignment is cleared and released from the customs. Now we are in the East African community, where we are now on the level of single customs territory, whereby our goods now are cleared at the first port of entry, and we do have the staff at Dar es Salaam and Mombasa, where they facilitate our goods to be declared faster. That one, in order to be implemented successfully, it is because of the IT, the systems we are using. They declare in the system. The payment is done in the system. So we have achieved a lot. Our infrastructures at the borders. We are now having some scanners at the border, where goods are being scanned at the border. We have implemented the one-stop border post, where goods are entering directly. With technology, customs has increased a lot.
Despite the progress made, some challenges remain in customs operations, including a small number of individuals who attempt to bring goods into the country illegally. The Commissioner of Customs Services, Sam Kabera, notes that systems have been put in place to track and identify such activities, while also helping taxpayers better understand tax laws so they can comply more effectively.
We have actually a department that is responsible for taxpayer education, where we teach them in all areas concerning customs and other taxes related. Even sometimes there are something that is done by the importers just because they don't know what they are supposed to do. That is why we emphasize in education and awareness. All the imports and exports are done through the systems. So whatever is declared, we just saw it in the system. We know that this one is prohibited or restricted, so we cannot allow to enter into the country. Secondly, we also work with government securities like police. They also facilitate to fight smuggling across the borders, and even the citizens. Whichever they see that is entering through the porous borders, they just inform us, and then we follow it up so that we make sure those goods which is entering the country, it is just to make sure they obey with the customs laws and regulations. We want our digitalized customs in next few years. For example, we want all our borders to be equipped with the scanners, whereby all the goods that are entering the country, the containers will be scanned to make sure that whichever entered in the country is very well known. We also want our importers in the next few years to be very well conversant with customs laws. We want all the importers that are very well compliant about the customs procedures. We want digitalized customs in the next few years to come.
As Rwanda marks Customs Day on January 26, the country currently has 18 customs officers, including those at border posts, ports, and the international airport. The management of Rwanda Customs Services sees that going forward, operations will continue to rely more heavily on advanced technology to speed up service delivery and close loopholes that could enable corruption among staff.
arababwiraga data bati ntabwo wagira umukamo mwinshi utunze inka imwe ariko nigeze acika intege. Mama akinjira mu bucuruzi hari abamubwiraga bati ntabwo watera imbere udakorera mu iduka rigezweho ariko ntibyamusubije inyuma, yakoranaga umwete. Njya muri kaminuza hari abanshidikanyagaho bavuga ko nashobora kaminuza naturuka mu muryango wifashije ariko byarangiye nanditse amateka mashya. Igihe cyo gutera ishema umuryango wanjye kigeze, bamwe bakomeje kumbwira bati ntabwo watera umuryango wawe ibyishimo n'ishema ariko narabishoboye. Hari abakekaga ko nasigira umurage ukomeye abankomokaho ariko ubu mfite uruganda rutunganya amata. Banki ya Kigali yabaye umufatanyabikorwa wanjye mu rugendo rwose, inzozi zanjye ziba impamo. Bigereho.
For now, I thank you so much for joining us for this edition, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Goodbye.